And I've described that very briefly. Now, the fact is that he, and today I think the country, sees the rise of India in civilizational terms. Now we recognize today that that is also the case with the rise of China. So the challenge for me is how do we find a sustainable equilibrium today between the two rising powers who also happen to be neighbors and who have a history and a population which sets them apart from the rest of the world, and who have also capabilities which, with the passage of time, could also set them apart from the rest of the world. So this is a very, very complex challenge. Now the starting point for this obviously would be if we are trying to do something difficult, at least the parts that were worked out, keep them going. Keep it steady, build on it. So it came as a great surprise to us when the Chinese in 2020 chose to do something on the border which was completely violative of agreements we had reached. So instead of actually solidifying the foundation for an equilibrium, they went and disturbed the foundation. So the big issue for us today, from time to time, we hear this that the boundary solution can take its time. We don't argue with that. It could. It's a very complex issue. We're not talking of solving the boundary dispute. We are talking about maintaining peace and tranquility on the border. And we had. From 1975 till 2020, nobody got killed on that border. So for 45 years it worked. We have to ask ourselves today, why is it not working now? And until we have that stabilization of the border, to me it is illogical to expect that the equilibrium building, the relationship building, doing more things would move forward. Because it will naturally engender enormous distrust if you didn't keep your part of the bargain, particularly if there's already a prior history of this continuing. So that's really the issue. Here I think it's important really not to lose the woods for the trees. There might be a report here or not, which may be true or not. I think no sensible government confirms troop movements, least of all to someone from a foreign newspaper. But that said, we are today trying to find a way out, and it's not easy. I have myself invested a great deal of effort with my counterpart, and at the military commanders level, at the diplomatic level, we've had 20 plus rounds of talks. In a way that answers the next question, what is your policy towards Pakistan and China? The China part I have answered. The Pakistan part, look, every country wants a stable neighborhood. It's logical, If you are a person living on a street, you want good neighbors. If nothing else, you want at least a quiet neighborhood. Now, we have been what shall I say, unfortunate or ill-starred, or so to be blessed with the one that we have to our west. Now, here's a very, basic problem. How do you deal with a neighbor who does not hide the fact that they use terrorism as an instrument of statecraft? Now, it's not a one-off happening. Different countries at different points of time have experienced this. But a very sustained, almost an industry level, assembly line of people whose job it is to do bad things at night. To produce this with the intent of pressurizing your neighbor becomes a real challenge. So what we have come to conclude is that we have to find a way of addressing it. That dodging the problem gets us nowhere. It only invites more trouble. So I don't have a quick instantaneous fix. But what I can tell you is that India will not skirt this problem anymore. We are not going to say, well, that happened and, let's continue our dialogue because that's very important. I think if we have a problem, we must be honest enough to face up to that problem, however difficult it is. If we have to have those discussions, we should. And if it is, hard to find a solution, we must work through to the way. We should not give the other country a free pass saying there's nothing they can do about it, or it's a very hard problem, or there's so much else at stake that let us overlook it. In India, the mood is not to overlook terrorism. I would say if you look in a way of what are the changes in India which have happened in the last decade plus, a great deal of public anger about a lack of response to terrorism threat has been one factor about the perceptions in politics. So it is a tough one, but it is something on which we will stay the course.